In this video, I'm going to show you how to protect video and create different types of video players. So first you go to the S3 Media Vault menu and click on Add New Shortcode. And this is the page. And here you can see there's a shortcode name. This is only for your internal use. It is not going to be used anywhere, just for you to identify the shortcode and a list of other shortcodes. So put in some name. So you could say course video 1. And then the content type, this is the most important part. So there are a few different types of video players you can create. Video player standard, video player streaming, and video playlist. Now there's a blog post which explains the difference between standard and streaming. So standard is basically progressive download, which means when the viewer hits play on the video player, the file starts downloading immediately to a temporary folder in the browser's memory on the hard disk. So you don't see it, but it's actually being downloaded to the web browser, whether it's Chrome or Firefox, whatever browser you're using. So the video is actually fully downloaded as it starts playing. That's why it's called progressive download, because it's progressively downloading to the computer or the device as the person is watching the video. Now, even if you don't provide a separate download link, which S3 Media Vault allows you to do, so which I recommend as well, you should always allow your paying members to be able to download their videos and audio and PDF that they've actually paid for so that they can view it or read it offline. And that's a good practice. But even if you don't provide a separate download link to the video, they might be able to use third-party plugins, browser plugins like Video Downloader or Video Download Helper to download the video that they're watching. Now, 99% of the people, of the creators, don't care about that. It's fine. In fact, like I said, I actually recommend that you explicitly provide a download link to the video so that they can watch it on your website in the members area, as well as download the video or audio or PDF. But for some reason, if you don't want them to be able to download the video or audio, no matter what, that's when you would use a streaming player. And the blog post explains it better. So if you go to s3mediavault.com/blog, you will see it in the sidebar. So for the easiest option, choose video player standard. This is the simplest option. And you choose, in the file source, you choose Amazon S3. Now you have Amazon S3 as an option, CloudFront, YouTube, and a URL, which is if it's on your own website or if it's hosted on Google Drive or something like that, but that is not a secure option. For it to be secure, you must choose Amazon S3 or CloudFront. And if you just want a secure video player, choose video player standard and Amazon S3 as the file source. And it'll be secure and it'll load fast. And then in the file name or URL field, click on Browse. And this is the S3 file browser. So all the files that are showing here are actually the files stored in your S3 bucket. So pick one. In this case, we are creating a video player. So I'll just pick lake2.mp4. And then you have the option to buffer it on load, as in when they arrive at the page which has the video, should the video start downloading in the background even before they hit play. You don't have to, but if you want to allow them to view it faster, you can click buffer on load. Remember, that means that it is going to start downloading whether they watch the video or not. They might arrive at the page, the video player loads and starts downloading, but they never watch the video. They are distracted by something else and close the browser or come back later, and they might have to refresh the page. So this will increase your S3 bill, so I would not recommend it. And then if you want to do autoplay, you have the option. Now in recent years, all major browsers like Chrome and Firefox, they have all put in restrictions against autoplay videos because a lot of advertisers were playing videos without the viewer's permission. That's why if you had like 5, 10, 15 tabs open, suddenly one of the tabs will start playing a video and it can be pretty annoying for the end user. So the restriction they created, all these major browsers, is that if you want to play the video automatically, it will initially restrict it. But if you mute the video and play it, it'll allow it to play. So that's what S3 Media Vault does. So if you click on autoplay, then S3 Media Vault will mute the video and start playing the video. And there's a feature where it shows a little label saying unmute this video to watch it. And when they click on it, it will restart the video from the beginning, so they'll not miss any part of the video and they don't have to manually rewind the video to watch it. But autoplay is generally not recommended unless you have a specific need for it. Keep the show controls yes. And then under player settings, you have the option to choose a splash image, which is the image that shows when the page first loads and the video player loads in the player before they hit play. This gives you the option to browse your WordPress media, where in WordPress you can go to media library and you can add new images there. So you click on it and you can choose an image from your media library and use that as the splash image. You have the option of choosing different colors and customizing the video player to suit your WordPress website's theme colors and branding colors. This one controls the color of the big play button and control bar. Then there's the color of the text, the icons and border of the play button. Then there's the color of the scrubber volume. So you have a color picker for all of these. So you can choose any color you want. This is the size of the player's play button. When it loads, it only shows up the very first time when the video loads and it has not yet started playing. But after that, you don't see the play button. This is the button in the middle of the video, like this one. So you can choose to make it bigger if you want. Default is size 20. You can have the initial play button location in the middle and centered like this, or on the left or on the bottom. And if you have a non-standard size video, you can choose fixed size video, yes. And then you can put in specific height and width for the video. Is this a 360 video? Then we come down to captions. So you have the option of enabling captions. You can say yes, and display captions by default, as in, do they have to turn on captions or is it always showing by default? You can choose yes or no, or leave it blank. There's the URL of captions file. You can upload it to the media section and then enter. Should be a .vtt file. You can upload your video to YouTube. You don't have to make it public. Allow YouTube to create the captions for you. YouTube gives you a beautiful captions editor where you can make changes to the words as the video is playing. So you can fix the file and then you can download the VTT. It has an extension of .vtt, and then you download that and you can upload it to your media folder and then use that here. And then you also have the option of choosing the language of the captions. So you might have an English language video and the captions might be in English, or captions might be in French. So it's up to you, depending on your audience. And then there are some advanced video settings. So if you want the video to stop X number of seconds into the video and then show some content below the video, like a buy button, for example, like if it's a sales video and you show something and you say it stops completely and they cannot continue watching the video after that point, the buy button shows, and you can take the buy button and make them sign up for something, and then you take them to a page which has the full video, which does not have this restriction. So you can say cue point, 120 seconds into the video, it should stop, and then it should show some HTML content. You can customize what it is here. And you can say, do you want the video to pause at that point or just keep playing? So if you don't check this, then it will show the HTML and still continue playing, or you can make it fully stop and show this HTML. You can also make it redirect to a URL at the end of the video. And in-video ads is a very cool feature that's in the elite version of S3 Media Vault. This is where you can show ads, pre-roll, mid-roll, and post-roll ads. Basically, it'll pop up a screen and the screen can have whatever you want: images, a video, a buy button, a sign-up form, an iframe source, anything. Any content that you can insert into a WordPress page or post, you can have in that ad. So you can say start at the start what you want. You can add a image and then have some text and then you can choose, should the viewer be able to close it, or is it going to auto close? Or you may even pause it at some point. For example, at a certain point in the video, like the cue point, you can pause it at a certain point, and you don't allow closing, and you also don't allow auto close, which means they cannot get past that video at that section, and the ad could say sign up to continue watching, right? And you can also say how long, how many seconds should this ad show up. And you can do that with pre-roll at the beginning of the video and at the end, as well as somewhere in the middle. So you can say at what point should it show. So if you put 120 here, it will show up exactly 2 minutes into the video. Again, you can choose allow closing or should it auto close and how long it should stay up. Watermark is where you can choose some text, or you can choose a logo or image that will show up in a corner of the screen when the video is playing. It could be your brand logo, or it could be just a text of your domain. You can link it to a URL and it'll show up constantly. Any one of the corners, you can say bottom right, top left, top right, bottom left, and bottom right. You can one of the 4 positions. These are all obviously extra settings. So that's the video player standard. The difference between S3 and CloudFront, if you want it to be secure, you only should choose one of these 2 options, because obviously YouTube, if the video is on YouTube, it cannot be secured. They can go to YouTube and watch it. You cannot prevent that. And if it's just a regular link that you have uploaded to your media folder, for example, or it's somewhere in Dropbox or Google Drive, then again, S3 Media Vault cannot secure it. Somebody can look at the source and pass it around to other people, and there's no way to prevent that. So if you want it to be secure, choose from S3 or CloudFront. The difference is, if you choose from S3, then S3 is like a centralized hard disk in the cloud. So when you first create an S3 bucket, Amazon will ask you, where do you want this folder to be located, in which geographical area? So you can choose. They have a few different data centers around the world. You can only pick one spot. So let's say you pick the East Coast, Ohio. That's one of their locations. So the file is stored in Ohio in their data center. Now, if somebody in the East Coast visits your website, the video will load just a little bit faster for them because they're geographically closer to Ohio compared to somebody on the West Coast of the United States, like in California or Hawaii. So geographical location will make a small difference in the loading speed of the video. So that's what happens when you use just S3. So if you want to use just S3, it will still be secure. It will still load really fast. But over time, if you notice that people are saying the videos are loading slow or something like that, then you need to switch to CloudFront. So let me show you the S3 settings first. If you go to S3 Media Vault and settings, then if you just want to use S3, all you have to do is put in the access key, secret key, S3 default bucket name. That's it. And the license key, of course. But if you want to use CloudFront, you have to fill out the CloudFront details here. There's a video for both of these things on how to fill up these details. So what CloudFront does is the file is still stored in your Ohio bucket, but let's say the first time somebody in London accesses your website, then the file is copied over from S3 to a cloud center, to a edge network, basically a cloud data center somewhere near London. Maybe they have multiple European data centers, right? And United Kingdom data centers. So they have data centers all over the world, but the file is not always loading from Ohio, which is in the East Coast of the United States. So the file will be copied over to a edge center, a data center near the visitor from London. And the next time somebody else in that region tries to access your website, they may log into the members area or whatever, however you're using the S3 Media Vault plugin to secure your videos. When somebody logs into the members area and tries to watch a video which has CloudFront enabled, then because, and let's say they are from France, right? So the edge location closest to London would already have this file cached in that location. So they are served the file from London, which is a lot closer to France compared to the East Coast of the United States. So that's how CloudFront speeds it up. That's why it's called a Content Delivery Network, or a CDN. So use just S3 if you just want it to be secure. Use CloudFront if you want it to be secure and load just a little bit faster. S3 is already fast, but CloudFront is even faster and delivers at almost the same speed regardless of where your visitor is located in the world. But because you're using 2 services of AWS, both Amazon S3 and CloudFront is a layer on top of it. This is not an either or. Basically, you're using only S3 or S3 and CloudFront. That's what this means. So that means just a slightly bigger bill in AWS, but it's not going to be much. It's still worth it if it loads really fast for your viewers. So I would say just start with S3. But if you start hearing complaints about speed, then switch to CloudFront. All you need to do is just go back to the shortcode that has S3 and just change this to CloudFront. That's it. No other change required. And obviously in settings, you have to fill out the CloudFront settings. So that's video player standard. Next, we'll look at video player streaming. So what streaming is, you should look at the blog post for more details. Streaming is different from standard. So standard, as I said earlier, is progressive downloads, which means it is downloading to some location on the viewer's device. So they can use third-party plugins to download it if they wanted to, or you can also provide them a separate download link. But for some reason, if you don't want them to download it at all, and if it's that important that they are not able to download it and they should only watch it on your website, then use the streaming video player. And in this case, the source is only CloudFront, which means you have to fill out both the S3 and the CloudFront settings in order to use streaming videos. You don't have to. You can use just S3 or S3 and CloudFront. But if you want them to never be able to download the videos, then you use streaming videos. And before you can create, so if you click here, browse, you're going to pick a video here. I picked this file, right? I want to stream this. But with streaming, you must prepare the file for streaming first. And that is because streaming file is no longer a MP4 file. It's not a single file. It's a stream of files. What streaming does is it splits up the MP4 into multiple chunks, and they're all encrypted and they cannot be downloaded. And even if they somehow manage to download it, they will not be able to play it because it's all encrypted. So you must, before you use streaming video player and before you choose a file, you must go to media first on the left-hand side menu. Go to media section in S3 Media Vault, not the WordPress media, but the S3 Media Vault media page. And here you'll see all the files in the S3 bucket. Whichever file you're planning to use. In my case, in this example, I was showing you testnasa.mp4. Click on prepare for video streaming. It's going to do its thing for about 10-15 seconds. And then once it submits the video for preparing, from that point, it will take about, so if you see here, it says stream success. Please wait for at least 15 minutes before using it in a shortcode. Now you have to prepare each file just once. So in the future, if you want to use that same file in a shortcode, you don't have to do this again. This is a one-time thing only the very first time. So you go back here. So you don't have to wait for 15 minutes to create the shortcode, just to put it on a page and make it work. That's what needs about 5 to 15 minutes. So let's continue this. In the meantime, it's getting prepared for streaming by the Amazon AWS servers. So we can continue with the rest of the setup here. So you can come here, put in the file name, which you know is being prepared in the background for streaming. And then you can go ahead and choose the rest of the settings, splash image and colors and everything else. Then you save it, click on add new shortcode, and it gets saved and redirects you to the manage shortcodes page. Here you can see all the shortcodes that have been created. This is the whole screen, S3 Media Vault manage shortcodes page. Here you can see this is the latest one that just got created. So you can edit the shortcode, go back to the page, you can clone it. It'll make an exact copy of this whole thing. If you want to use the same settings for another video player and just change the file name, you can delete it. You can look at the stats and so on. So if I click on edit, it goes back to the same page, course video 1, and it also shows the shortcode. You can copy this and you can put it on a page. And by this time, if 15 minutes over, you can preview the page and see if it shows an error, that means the video is fully not prepared yet. But once the 15 minutes is passed, it should start playing. And from that point onwards, you never have to prepare this file for streaming again. So just to clarify, you do not have to use streaming. So streaming does add a little bit more to the cost because Amazon servers are splitting up the video. Preparing for streaming, that's what it means. It's splitting up the MP4 video into what is called as a playlist, which is a .m3u8 file, and then a bunch of .ts files. So one video, this .mp4, could be split into, say, 10 or 15 different chunks. And then one of the settings we have in S3 Media Vault is, so if you go to the settings page and you scroll down, there is a streaming settings option here. So by default, S3 Media Vault will create 4 different streams at 720p, 360p, 240p, and 144p. Think of those are as quality. So the lower the number, the lesser the quality, the higher the number, the more quality it is, right? And if there was one more step above this, that would be 4K. Anyway, by default, when you first install S3 Media Vault, you should see all these 4 checked, which means when you click on prepare for streaming on the media page, then it will create 4 different streams. So if one MP4 could be split into 10 videos, 10 different files for one resolution. So 10, 20, 30, 40 roughly, right? So there'll be 40 files created in the streaming folder of your S3 bucket. And when the person views the video, they will have, just like YouTube does, they'll have a switch resolution option in the video player itself, so they can change from 1080 if the video is loading too slowly, or if they start seeing that everything is freezing up and it's not loading because they have a slow internet connection or whatever, then they can switch to a lower quality stream so it can continue playing without any interruption. And the cool thing about S3 Media Vault is that it has adaptive streaming, which means if you have created a streaming video player, then the player automatically senses their internet connection and shows them the video stream that is optimized for their internet connection. So if they're already on a low speed internet connection, then it will change to a lower quality stream. And if, let's say, they're moving around and they get to a spot where there's a faster internet connection and their connection improves, then it'll automatically switch back up and show them better quality video. So that's adaptive streaming, and S3 Media Vault has that built in. So if you choose video streaming, then you have to prepare the file first for streaming, and that is a one-time thing only per file. And then once you have done that, you don't have any other option here except CloudFront, because you do need CloudFront for streaming. So you must fill out the CloudFront settings first, and then you can finish the rest of the player settings to your liking, and then you save the shortcode and you can publish this on a page. The very first time you prepare a file for streaming, make sure you wait for 15 minutes, and then you'll be able to use that shortcode and watch the video. Finally, we have a video playlist. So if you choose the playlist, the options are S3. Again, remember, everything is stored in your S3 bucket by default, but you can choose to use just S3, or when you choose CloudFront, it's basically saying use S3, but also add some extra speed. And of course, you can use your own files stored on your own website, in your media folder, on some other website, Google Drive, Dropbox, and so on. So if you choose, let's say, just choose just S3, there's no difference between S3 and CloudFront other than the speed. There's no difference in functionality as far as the player itself is concerned. So now this part, the file name is disabled because you have the option of adding a playlist here. So first, by default, you'll see playlist media 1. So what's the file name? You can click on browse S3, and then you can put in a description, caption file URL, and if you want captions or subtitles, then you can do that. Choose the language here. Then if you want to add one more, click one more, you'll see playlist media 2 and one more, and you can add multiple files here, and that becomes a playlist. And this is what it looks like. So you have a video and you have 4 different options here. These are all 4 different videos. If you click on each one, it'll start playing. That's what a playlist is. The playlist margins and pixels, these are just how the buttons look. Here, the size of the buttons, the text and color and stuff, you can customize that. And then player settings is, of course, what we talked about before. And then you click update to shortcode, and then take this and put it on a page, and it looks like this. So that's the splash image showing up before the video starts playing. They click play. So I'm going to click here. So these have been configured with captions. Then the next one plays here, and so you can also have an autoplay playlist and so on. And that completes the tutorial for setting up a video in S3 Media Vault.